Welcome back, everyone, to the State Farm Analyst Desk, Day 3 of the group stage at LNG. And
he's a Pokemon master. He has all the gym badges.
Is that what that was? Oh my god, that's amazing.
Got me out of my concentration completely. Anyways, Group D, super exciting, super neck and neck. Mad Lions and LNG are about to go head to head. Also, if you're an EU fan, 3 games in a row, babies. So let's strap in. And it's going to be such a good game, I presume. The Mad Lions, let's talk about what they did yesterday. They got their first win of the group stage, and it was all about Elyoya. Not necessarily in the beginning, but you saw that he was really adjusting on that Qiyana as the game versus Gen G played out.
Yeah, and I mean, pulling out the Qiyana pick was like kind of a little bit unexpected from him since he hadn't played it in a while. I think Elyoya, if you're comparing Mad Lions, you know, this year and their success to the previous year, he has been a massive difference maker. He's someone who's shown up on the international stage previously. No nerves on this guy. He's such not only an excellent facilitator for this team, but also a massive carry in team fights. And, you know, he played phenomenally yesterday.
Yeah, a lot of things fell into place for Mad Lions, just like you were talking about there. It's Elyoya still his rookie year, you know. It was MSI, it's now into Worlds. It's been a long year for a rookie, I have to say. But I think a lot of things, like I said, fell into place. Qiyana coming out from Elyoya, despite 3 or 4 jungle bans, and then the enemy team was taking away things like Graves and Zhao, flexing these champions. So he didn't really know where to find the jungler, but Qiyana was a great staple. And I think that Armut especially, the Jace pick, the Wukong pick, sorry, did so much for them. You know, he was actually able to pick Wukong into double AD jungle top. I think that was kind of gifted to them. Gen G obviously made a couple mistakes here and there, but still, great game for Mad. It's their comfort zone. We know Mad Lions, when they're down 2 or 3k gold, you know, you're like, every single time your heart's like, they're still going to win this, right? You doubt them, they find a team fight, and then they come back.
It was very close, but I think we need to commend like the individual members, all of them, for Mad, for keeping them in the game until they could win the game, right?
And Carzzy stealing Dragon.
And Carzzy stealing Dragon, which actually also is pretty crazy. Now, Elyoya also commented in the interview yesterday that he really looks up to Tarzan, and these are their opponents today in LNG, and Tarzan is a great part of that lineup. And we've seen, I think, highs and lows from them, right? Yesterday versus TL for LNG was a fantastic game where they really just smurfed on their opponents.
Yeah, and I'm glad that Kadril brought up Armut, because I think there's a night and day difference when he plays something like the Wukong that he's really, really comfortable on, and then a few of other like meta champions that he seemed less comfortable on, like the Jax. So I'm really, really looking at the top side for this matchup because of what we already said about Elyoya and Tarzan, but also Ala into Armut is really, I'm really going to look at what they pick for that matchup specifically, given how Ala really likes to take certain 1v1s and counter pick, or just pick something blind and then go into it anyway. And then Armut looks a lot different on champions he's visibly comfortable with and other meta picks.
Yeah, and Mad Lions, I believe, are blue side, so that means that Armut's going to have to blind pick his top laner, and both these teams are top side teams, right? They want to play for top side, get Ala ahead, get Armut ahead, and then snowball the map from there. Both bot lanes don't get as much resources, so I think counter pick will be really valuable for LNG, which means Mad Lions need some kind of good blind pick for Armut. Jace notoriously worked a lot in the playoffs, but we'll have to see how he does.
Yeah, also the mid lane, we need to see which icon shows up, right? It's going to be yesterday's icon, our day 1 icon, a lot of questions. And with just a moment to go before we get to the match, let's check in on our MasterCard fan prediction to see who everyone at home favors in this matchup. LNG at 30, Mad Lions at 69, KegW percent, 0.8. Remember to check out at MasterCard Nexus on Twitter to vote for future matchups. But as we know, apparently the fans know nothing at home, right?
Yeah, 15% was last time's one when Mad Lions lost. So Mad Lions having the higher percentage votes, not a good sign.
Maybe not a good sign. Yeah. I hope it's a banger of the match. We see both teams at the top of their game. The fans have spoken, and now it's time to hear our casters speak, because that's what casters do. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Sharks, and welcome back to LOL Park here for game number 2 of the day. Looking forward to seeing whether all of our pick'ems can be saved by the Mad Lions here today.
Yeah, that's the question, right? I mean, this group is impossible to predict. We ended up with 4 1-on-1 teams. There was the circle of suck that was mentioned earlier. I like to think that every team disappointed everyone a little bit. Expectations were shattered and then shattered again. I personally think this one could go either way. This is one of the best matches of the night, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think so too, Chronicle?
I'm really excited. I think that what we've seen thus far from Mad Lions was one game that was very far below their standards, and one game that was actually more in line with what we expected, right? There was still some scrappiness going on, but that decisiveness in team fights, to me, was a big factor of what made them, well, pretty much you know, stomp Gen.G. And we've seen Gen.G get stomped when they don't really do anything. So I was actually happy to see Mad really go in on that aggression. And then for LNG, it's kind of been a similar case where their game against PSG, against Gen.G, obviously, not the greatest, but outside of that, they have been great this tournament.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how it is going to go. Here we are, into Champion Select for this second game of the day. Already Aurelia, of course, joining the permaban list once again. And there is LeBlanc taken away. Of course, Humanoid had a great game on their win. And of course, being able to solo kill a BDD that everyone overreacted to after day number one, myself included.
We should have known.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. I thought that their draft in their second match was just revolting. And so now a couple of the picks have been banned away as the Yumi is also illegal in this particular game. She should be in all games.
One of the shared champions, Atlas, that are between both of these teams that we've seen prioritized very highly is the Aphelios, but of course that's a lot of the time because of the previous AD carry bans on the table. We only have the MF this time. Lucian is still available, so Carzzy could pick that one up. The Aphelios, definitely something you could leave towards later if you wanted to pick up something like the Sin here for Elyoya. Just because he looked great on the Kiana towards the end of that Gen.G game yesterday doesn't mean that he necessarily wants to prioritize it very highly here. Definitely something you could leave for later. And they're going to take the Ryze, because that one's left open. You know the Twisted Fate is banned, so matching that one in terms of the roaming and the teleporting there to the top side of the map can be quite strong. We'll see if Sylas is now picked up here for Icon.
And I like the Ryze. Ryze has been a staple in pro play through playoffs as well, in all the regions for a very good reason, outside of the fact that he's able to relentlessly shove from basically his first back. In addition to that, also has been very successful for a lot of teams to have that global impact without actually being something like a Galio that if he doesn't have a global impact, you feel like the champion doesn't provide nearly as much, but he's Ryze, so it doesn't really matter. He'll be able to find and angle them as long as he can be given a little bit of space. As high Leona priority here, we've seen Leona drop a little bit in where she's picked up. She still has a really high presence, but it's kind of drops a little more to like second rotation. Gets picked up early here.
Yeah, and it is going to be Leona and Lee Sin, and these are definitely high priority and also like first pick worthy, to be perfectly honest. Leona just so stable. We saw her lose in the last game, but we saw that she is still very powerful, and the Lee Sin as well, pretty stable and also very flexible. Fit into basically any composition. As Samira's being hovered, we'll see what Elyoya actually decides to go for. As this is tried and true. I'm really glad that the Mad Lions have welcomed us to casting some LEC games with a very classic LCK mid and top lane in the Gnar and the Ryze.
I'm not
this way too much.
I'm not a huge fan of the Gnar with the Ryze this early though, because you do leave yourself open to a lot of counter picks. Now with this Zhao, it is going to make things a little bit easier up there as long as Elyoya is going to hover the top side of the map. The problem with the global that Ryze gives you with a Gnar is a little bit timing based. There's only a thin window in which you can actually utilize that Mega Gnar bar with that teleport. So if you don't have prio at the right time, or you're not in the stage where you can actually utilize that Gnar bar, you're going to have a tough time. This Camille, on the other hand, can really put a lot of pressure on Gnar, especially towards the later part of the game in the side lane.
And post 6 especially, the setup with a Lee would become incredible, but no, it is instead going to be the Syndra pickup. And I do think that in what LNG have already drafted, the Syndra provides you an incredible 2v2. And if at any point, anyone on Mad Lions' team isn't in the right position at the right time, they're going to get Hunters zeroed, right? And that kind of threat, I think, works really well against Mad, a team that does like to get a little bit aggressive at times.
And as we know, Syndra is a triple flex. Can of course be heading towards that top side as Zhao showed us. Probably not going to be Ala's pick, of course. Zhao certainly one that's a little more flexible, a bit more of a contortionist there towards the top side of the map than most other people, and likely to be Icon, of course. He has played a heck of a lot of this, and we are going back in time with a draft like this, right? Like Lee Sin, Syndra, Leona, we've been seeing this all year round, and of course, the Ryze and the Gnar, no strangers for many, many years. On the same team together.
I think when you already had the Camille hover earlier, the Jace is a given. It's the obvious ban. It's one of Ale's better champions right now in this meta, great into the Gnar. You could ban the Camille. The other ban you would have wanted to look for potentially would have been that Sylas I mentioned earlier, but when they lock in the Syndra here, you're not expecting it to be either a Sylas top or of course that Syndra flex. So I think banning the Camille away here is still the best option for Mad Lions at the moment. But you've got to consider that Sylas could still potentially be a thing so strong with the ability to match that Ryze teleport, their Realm Warp rather, and the ability to, of course, Gnar people later on, one of the strongest things you could steal in League of Legends. Take away the Wukong, though, instead.
That's really interesting that Mad are banning the Wukong, of course, respecting the power level of said Wukong, but it's Armut that's so good on this particular pick, trying to protect himself from one of his staples, but it does leave the Camille that they were trying to pick anyway, still available. So probably just happy to go into that particular matchup, and we'll see how Armut is going to survive.
It was also kind of calling the bluff, I feel like, what Mad Lions were. We know what you hovered. We don't care. We're going to lock 2 picks in that we feel like are more problematic because I do think that the Gnar has a window against the Camille early. If we do see early presence with that Xin Zhao towards topside, there is a possible punishment window there available. And that's, again, LCK staple, Aphelios fresh, lock it and shop it. And if I look at the LNG comp, against the Lee, against the Camille, I quite like it, but especially if a ranged AD carry is picked up here from LNG, I wonder how much space Carzzy is going to get.
Yeah, that's the real question. I mean, he's going to obviously have a lot of escape options here with this composition. There's a lot of disengage, too, on the side of Mad Lions here. The Jhin coming through as the final pick does have a decent front line. There's a lot of setup here on the side of LNG. It's a pick that they like to pick in the LPL as well, so not a big shocker to see this one coming through. But I'm very happy to see that Mad Lions kind of stick to their guns here. They're going to play the Aphelios again here. This time they have so much support for it, and they have a composition that can deal a lot in the early game. You can put a lot of threat in the top side of the map with Realm Warp. You've got this Gnar, but the late game team fighting, 5v5s around objectives, this composition, if it's not too far behind, is so deadly. It scales so incredibly well.
Yeah, and I love that they've just gone back to the basics, right? You know, they're just LNG, scary team, but Mad just look at it and they're like, well, what are we really good at? Well, we're really good at team fighting. We're really good at being able to have Kaiser on a champion that is able to have a lot of agency in this game. Going to be throwing out hooks left, right, and center. That is the fist bump from the coaches as we are trying to get in to game number 2. I'm looking forward to it because Mad Lions are a team that I'm just going to come out with it straight away. They're top of my group in pick'ems, and after day 1, I overreacted as well, and I was terrified and upset. And thankfully, yesterday happened. They did much better, and let's see whether they can take down LNG here.
It's telling that I think all the LCK casts were, yep, Mad first, Gen.G second.
Yes.
We're gonna feel good about that one. And we haven't really talked about the LNG comp yet. I do think that this is the type of composition where if you find a lead, if Mad make a misstep too many in the mid game, you just take over the entirety of the map so fast.
Yep, and remember, ladies and gentlemen at home, you can share your opinion, cheers, and well wishes using the Verizon 5G All Chat. And let us know who you think is going to be able to take this game. Let us know whether your pick'ems are also relying on the Mad Lions.
Or if you could find a way for Gen.G to disappoint you more than one way in a single game.
I'm not even playing, Wolf! Come on!
I'm very excited.
Space.
Look, I'm very excited for
Are you
two
going to
reasons.
blame Gen.G if LNG wins this game?
No,
is that what's happening?
no. I'm just saying I'm very excited because A, Gen.G is playing later, and B, I'm not casting it. So
You just wanted to get it in there. It's not even relevant right now.
But yeah, Chronicle, as you were saying about the LNG team composition, yes, please continue.
Yeah, so LNG's comp has multiple elements where a single skill shot leads into certain death. If a hookshot gets hit, follows up by a scatter, you're donezo. If Iwandy finds a Zenith Blade, you can instantly get blown up by the follow-up from Light. And I do think that the LNG comp runs into some issues if they fall substantially behind. I think their ranged wave clear is rather lacking. You're only looking at the Syndra really because Jhin, his wave clear in long-range scenario is not amazing. But at the same time, I do think that this is a type of composition where if you can rely on Tarzan's early pathing and the laning strength that we have seen from Ali in particular, there is a possibility to put Mad behind to the point where that team fighting is going to be very much on the back foot.
Yeah, it does also feel like, to a certain extent, LNG's composition later on is going to be more about picks, as we see a bit of an engage here.
Decent little flayback there, as Kaiser does take more damage, but still some fighting in amongst these brushes. Both of these bot lanes just protecting their wards that we're just about to run out. Top side of the map, Bit of a health trade there, as we saw it was like ships in the night as the hop came through from Armut there. And we decently. How did that boomerang miss, by the way? That was weird.
That was a bit odd.
We also see a couple of interesting rune shots. Icon has gone.
Okay, just walks up and hooks him. Light's now in trouble, gets flayed back, has to flash to get himself out, but Kaiser is also in trouble as now Iwandy wanted to chase down the support. But has to back away and respect Carzzy here. A big win for Mad, but do they overstep now with Tarzan waiting in the wings?
Iwandy was still level 1 while the play was happening. Must have gotten zoned off of a single creep. Tarzan is now looking for an opportunity.
Mad, they're feeling safe because they do have that ward in the river brush. As you can see, Tarzan not going to go for it. Thinks that maybe things have calmed down and he'll go to his blue buff.
That was really nice timing for Tarzan to be hovering around the bottom side there, because there was a huge opportunity if there was a big overextension. Not to mention that Icon had full control of the mid lane and still does at the moment. So nice timing on that one here as Elyoya will scout out this ward. The top matchup is, as it often does in the very early game of this Gnar versus Camille, is starting to go a little bit Armut's way here. He's controlling the wave very well, using that range advantage. And, I mean, this is just so much pressure here onto Humanoid. You mentioned, or you were about to mention, Chronicler, that Airy coming through, and you can see its impact here.
Yeah. Tarzan only looking to try and reinforce it further now as Humanoid down just under half health. Does have that wave pushing in. Ooh, no, it's just going to be a Dark Sphere going to be utilized. That's a decent stun to come through from Ale, but he's missing a bunch of mana. So he isn't going to be able to do too much more of that, as now Armut's going to chase him out of the lane.
Really nice spacing there from Armut as well, right? Making sure that he maximizes the damage. Because in those short trades, Camille obviously with the shield going to have the better end of those. But Armut has more sustain as well, has gone for the fleet as opposed to the grasp that we often seen for the Gnar. And is going to be able to, in that longer trade, still have a very nice moment. And
great wall up.
Be careful.
Yeah, that is going to be the route down onto Icon. Holds onto the flash. Tarzan is in position. That Q, very, very close there. Bit of a mulligan from Tarzan. He's going to now slink away once again. Still wants to take down those Ryze beaks.
Yeah. Armut's playing this matchup so well. He's very patiently using his auto attacks, seeing those empowered through, his Mega Gnar usage there. Fantastic, threading the needle there onto Ale, and has a lot of control over the top side of this map. We'll see if that continues, of course, once level 6 is hit for Tarzan. There's a lot more kill pressure.
Did have to flash, so I'm wondering what happened there.
Yeah, when did that happen?
Yeah, I didn't see
because
that.
are we going to get another one?
That's really important because Tarzan is like sneaking up through the fog. Armut used his flash.
Can they chase this one down? Will he have Hop available? We haven't actually seen it, as there's the hook shot. He just pops off the wall. Tries to find the minion. Tarzan gets underneath the turret, though. He's got the safeguard, and that is a very simple first blood. And I'm still baffled. Where did that why did the flash go cooldown?
Yeah, I don't know. This last time we had the update, this time we were a little bit late on it. And I mean, the power of connecting that Q there is so easy to get the execution kill when you know that Camille can, at such a long range, get the hook shot there and then sweep to get the slow. And you can see on Armut's face the second he sees Tarzan there, he's like, oh, I got no flash, I'm totally dead.
And the problem with this is that Armut, I think, has the biggest window to try and get a lead in this matchup against Ale early on, because it's not like post-6 that the lane becomes unplayable for the Gnar, right? We have this matchup like Wukong versus Jace, for example, where you don't really get to play the video game anymore. It's not that bad, but the problem is that if you are ever in Mega Gnar, you need to play very respectfully, because a 2-man unit in mini can blow you up in seconds. The Camille locks you down with the Hextech Ultimatum, and there's nothing for you to do.
And we're going to see this one yet again. So this I think was where the flash went down, as the wallop not quite going to work out, and he flashes the hook shot. Okay.
Yeah, and I think he has to. He's just about to go mini there. And then the sneak from Tarzan here, using the fake the confidence that you have with that Scuttle Crab on top side, feeling a little bit safer than you should.
I mean, you connect the Q here as well there as Tarzan, and you just know it's a guaranteed kill.
Well, they're looking to try and answer it here, as Ale's going to get taken down to half health. The Gnar is going to get flashed as tactical sweep comes through, dodges all of the skill shots. The wallop finds it in the end, though. Humanoid needs it. He flashes forward, and then we're tanking up the turret beautifully. Oh, calculated there from Humanoid, who's in between these turrets, and no one's actually coming to try and take him down. Yeah, that is going to be the execute, and so Mad do manage to get away with the heist.
That was actually really well played. It's not over yet.
Okay, Icon moving his way up. Can he find the scatter is going to be the question. No flash for Armut still, of course, as the Dark Sphere is going to come through. Okay, ultimate comes down. That's some gameplay, and Ala's going to pick up the kill there onto Elyoya.
So in the long run, not quite sure who is going to benefit most from that. If we look at who the kills have gone to, Ale able to pick up a kill himself, and that's going to be really big. After that, looking at a moment as if Ale was going to get away, but actually really cleanly executed dive by Mad at the moment that all those side steps comes through, but because there was still someone tanking, Humanoid could actually walk up and get those last hits, also didn't take any damage himself, so the execute works out well. But now, Ale picks up a kill, shoves this wave into the turret, picks up a plate as well, so that lead that was there for Armut, after a nice counterplay to the initial play from Tarzan, has actually worked out well, and I'm loving the tit for tat here, both teams really trying to get that top side ahead as far as they can.
And not to mention, Icon also had the wave push, gets an extra wave of minions, and had teleport advantage. Doesn't lose anything here. In fact, has a nice lead, and they're not done with this mid lane advantage. They're going to look for more. Nice hook there.
Good lantern.
Yeah.
Kaiser's just going to save his mid laner. Very nice.
Look at the setup here, though, for LNG. They're already pre-grouped up for this Rift Herald fight. They have a lot of pressure to put onto Armut, who's already used that Narbar, I believe. Actually, not quite finished there. But I mean, this is a really tense moment for Mad Lions. This is where you can lose all of your power in the early game.
Oh no, the face chip comes through, and that is going to be the kick. Armut does get Mega, and that is both of them into the wall. The wallop's great as well, and that's another lantern. Damn, Kaiser's got so many lights, and now just going to allow Armut to help out with this Rift Herald as well.
Just like that.
Yeah, and for a second there, it looked like Armut had overextended. We know how comfortable this player is on Mad. I think the desk also managed it, how much better Armut looks when he's on a champion and he's comfortable. He's like, no, I'm at 80% Narbar. I'm fine. The moment that you transform, stun them into the wall, they can't actually make a play. And Tarzan and Ali looking to try and 100 to 0 that Gnar, like we talked about earlier, and then you get a free Herald. Instead, they use a lot of resources, don't actually end up getting anything, and give up the Herald. So even though Mad is a little bit behind in terms of gold because of that that second play that happened on top side, should still be able to, at the very least, equalize once they drop this Herald.
Yeah, you'll take the Herald over the first solo Drake, I think, any day of the week, especially when you already have a really nice lead against this Camille that's struggling to get to that point where she can be a big threat in the side lane. Yes, got some plates and was able to get that kill earlier on, but isn't really as big as she could be here, as Armut actually has a 15 CS advantage at the moment.
Humanoid looking for an opportunity onto Icon. Elyoya in the area, but not going to be able to go for it. It's like you say, the Drake does go down. Not going to be a Cloud Soul. Makes me sad. Makes most other people quite pleased. As 4 minutes until that Cloud Drake is going to be available. Another rock going to get thrown at Arla here, as we've got the Wallop landing as well. Armut picking up these boulders left and right, and Arla has to use that hook shot to get himself out. And I love seeing Armut on comfort, right? We saw him on the Jax. He looked like he didn't really feel himself on that champion. Then the Wukong comes out and you're like, ah, there's the guy. There's the guy that we all know and love. And the Gnar is working out the same way, at least for now.
And it's showing again, Mad Lions had the opportunity to ban the Gnar, or ban the Camille rather, right? They were like, no. We have faith in Armut to navigate this matchup, and so far, that faith has truly been rewarded. Again, he's pushing up far, but that Narbar is almost full.
Yeah, Iwandy. Ale's at 200 health right now. The hookshot comes down. That's the Gnar. There's the Wallop as well. And he just picks up the kill. Launched himself into the waiting arms of the Mega Gnar. And Armut's not done. Humanoid's tanking up the turret for the moment. There's the flash after the boulder toss. And Armut's now trying to make the great escape. Icon will have some Dark Spheres, but he's pretty slow now with the boomerang. And out he goes. Yeah, he gets a little bit of a love tap there from the Krug, but it's not even close.
It was so much closer to being even more as well with the Realm Warp coming through there. You know, we almost had Humanoid escape. The teleport timing there almost lands him another kill. It does not work out. That was pretty well punished here from LNG. But, I mean, it's like the color point of, look at this guy, look at how comfortable he is, and then it just happens again.
He literally
has no
does that.
fear.
It's a blessing, finally.
Oh yeah, he's at 75%, you know, he's feeling confident.
He's
and then
30
they
CS
still
up.
go for the play. And it just backfires spectacularly. I think because of the fact that we do see Icon roaming up here, they feel more comfortable than they should. But one, teleport is available, and even if this teleport does not come through, just want to reiterate, like, worst case scenario, Armut gets a 1-for-1. Right? Like that is also not a terrible scenario when your opponent is sending 3 people to your lane, and it showcases why Mad felt comfortable. Yeah, we're just going to blind pick it up. We know how comfortable he is on this. We've played a ton of games with it, and so far it's working out nicely. And there comes a point where if Armut gets far enough ahead and he plays well enough around Narba, which based on what we've seen thus far, fairly confident he will continue to do so. The windows for Ale and Tarzan, or Ale and Icon, or whoever goes up topside, become smaller and smaller. And eventually Camille will hit the 2-3 items, and we know what a champion can do. But if you delay that enough, you might never reach that point. Now Mad Lions, nice gold lead.
Yeah, a Pride heading towards the bottom side of the map as well, as we can see the Rift Herald pops down, and that is going to be the rest of this turret. Pretty textbook, but you love to see it as in goes Elyoya. Maybe didn't really want to, as he just explodes. So, as I say, textbook, Elyoya's like, no.
They got first turret blood, you know, just making sure.
I was going to say, I mean, a lot of teams like to push that Rift Herald into the lane they're controlling. They try to stop the Camille and really just empower Armut, but they try to spread the love. They try to spread the gold. Maybe a little bit too much spreading of the gold there on the bottom side of the map, but hey, first turret going over there. And I do agree that there are ways where LNG can really turn this game on a dime later on. Don't think it's going to be the Camille for a while here, but Icon is starting to get very, very powerful himself as well. Almost 30 CS up on Humanoid. And if the engages are good, we know how good Icon is on this champion. There's a lot of ways to shut down those Gnar engages. And so far, it's been LNG kind of playing into into Armut's hands on the top side of the map. When Armut is going to be the one who has to manage his own Gnar bar around objectives, that's when it gets a little bit more complicated.
Oh, Humanoid not going to face check Tarzan, but now if he walks towards it, he's going to be in trouble. That is the flash kick into the wall. Hextech ultimatum comes down, and that bullet is going to secure it there by Light. Armut teleports forward, but doesn't really find too much more. Wind becomes lightning. Is going to whiff as Arla going to get out of the way of the hook, but Iwandy not going to be so lucky, and Armut's just going to get taken down. Not enough members of MAD, and a lot of LNG down here towards the bottom side.
And this is the ultimate scenario for LNG. It's one by one by one. You can pick them all off. This is where you are at your strongest. And
yeah, another flash out here as Kaiser is down to just a sliver, and Icon's just going to throw an orb at him, and that will pick up the Thresh. As Carzzy, yeah, he puts a Sentinel over there, but I don't think he's going to go in. That is going to be that.
And there was no need for that. It's sad that Humanoid dies, but it's, again, a 4-man investment. It's a nice play coming through from LNG. And I think as Matt, if you can maybe look for a cross-play, secure some vision on top side, try to go for something. But Armut feels the time pressure because he's in Mega Gnar and he wants to try and help.
Yeah, and these are those complex decisions that you're going to have to make around objectives later on that become a little bit more tricky to pull off. I know Mad is very good at the macro. We've seen it already so far this game, and they are a team that will play around the Gnar bar for Armut very well. But when it does come to some of these skirmishes where you go, well, I've got this bar, we've got to make this fight happen now, and you make the wrong choice, the consequences could be quite dire, especially with a composition like what LNG is running. You give them an inch, they'll take a mile. They're going to look to hold on to this Herald.
I think they saw that Carzzy just went home as well. So they have full information that there is only possibly 4 members here, as Shirley goes on quite an excursion. She will eventually get her way out.
So she's like, off-season's coming up, I'd like to join the Mad Lions. I just want to put my best foot forward.
Yeah, well, she definitely did, and now LNG are going to say, well, no, that's not happening. You are coming over to our side. But now the Mad Lions are going to welcome her back. The invitation in the mail. And now we're just very confused, if we're Shirley, to be perfectly honest.
This is like the Speed Racer
still
movie.
Waiting here. Light is on a ward, but the curtain call just about to come off cooldown, but not quite. And the Mad Lions will take their second Herald of the game. And they're not done just yet. Yeah, the Warp is going to get on forward. It does have the Blast Cone, though, so he'll be absolutely fine. And Shirley pops down in her den and then immediately pops back up again here on the top side of the map.
This ends up being a little bit of extra value going over the top side of the map. The question is, can LNG deal with this? They do have Iwandy up here, but I think this is just going to be another crash. You don't have enough resources to stop this right now, unfortunately, because Icon, no teleport, is on the other side of the map. He should just keep pushing.
Well, I guess he is. As he's just heading back down there, you can see that it's going to be the smite. Onto the Rift Herald as Arla gets himself out with the hookshot. Good buffering there, but they're not going to be able to save the turret. So Mad Lions going to be taking more. It's a 1,000 gold lead at the end.
And I'm loving this from Mad because I think that there would have been a lot of teams that they secure the crash and then they back off, right? Not wanting to take the risk. But those secondary turrets are so incredibly valuable in terms of raw gold they give you. They recognize, again, Armut, he's ready to fight. And with a Icon, which is one of the most fat members on LNG at the moment, both in terms of kills as well in terms of just CS, not a lot to be done there for LNG.
Yeah. And let's have a listen to Aito Sakawara. We are supposed to be in class, but here we are supporting the Lions. #MadWin. Hopefully your teacher isn't watching as well. Otherwise, you could potentially get in trouble.
Just send in your sick note, and also we don't endorse...
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
We don't endorse skipping class for Worlds, but actually, yeah, we do.
Don't
No, we
stay
don't.
in school.
No, we don't. Stay in school.
Stay in school, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe miss a class here or there.
Yeah, just watch on your phone under your desk. It's easy.
Hey, maybe you have one of those cool teachers that is like, guys, you're gonna have to do your homework. We'll have this up on the big screen. Okay?
Hopefully it's not
muted.
English class, because then that's too much pressure on us. I
Yeah,
think.
if any of your classes were canceled today, it might not be a coincidence, especially if you're in Europe.
That's looking good.
Well, let's see whether this team fight is going to work out. Is Kaiser going to get slowed down? It's a good play to stop the re-engage. Lands the hook, but Light only going to take half of his health bar. The Ignite ticks down. Not going to go for too much more. Good pick off there from LNG. And this is what their comp really does well. They can 4-1, they can pick. And the pick comp part of it looking really good in that instance.
Yeah, that's perfect, right? The moment you hit one of your skill shots, the amount of burst that is going to immediately follow forth, as well as lockdown, is going to become a big problem. Unlike last time, though, I felt like Matt kind of felt the need to overforce it. That you say, okay, Kaiser, you're taken down. There's no objective on the map, right? There's nothing that we need to fight for. Just going to let it happen. Don't try to force yourself in a bad position. I do quite like that because LNG, they currently have the double drink. And I feel like this game is still on relatively even footing. In a straight-up 5v5, I will favor Matt with how it's gone thus far and how they've played out the skirmishes as well. But if LNG get this next Drake, we gotta also recognize how hard it is for Matt to like try and engage if you lose control of your vision.
Yes.
Because their actual engage is not amazing. It's okay if you hit a hook, if you find a flank on Gnar, but if you fall behind against this LNG comp in terms of control, you can't walk up with anyone because like we saw, you're just gonna get immediately blown up.
It's also the, you know, the Gnar bar exchange is, speaking of Gnar, it's going to be chunked down a little bit here.
Yep, Tarzan.
Elyoya
Going to get in position,
fighting.
but yeah, Elyoya is going to be there as well. Q is going to miss, and Icon took a turret shot. He didn't want to do that. As now we will have Mega Gnar, so that's going to keep Armut relatively healthy. Icon's going to go golden, but I think this is a see your death moment as Kaiser moves his way up. Icon, relative safety right now as Iwandy is going to come through here. The Camille in the meantime is going to grab a solo kill onto Humanoid as Tarzan falls down as well as they go for the dive. The curtains have been called and Kaiser is going to answer them. Not in a way that benefits Mad Lions, unfortunately, and Ala is going to push down this inner turret.
This is a moment, too, where you know LNG have this all planned out from the beginning. You could even see the hesitation there on the top side of the map for Mad, trying to kill Icon. They back away because they know that Jhin ultimate is up. They know Light can engage from so far away, and he does eventually pull that trigger. And now, I mean, it's incredible what Mad Lions had in terms of the pushing power in the early game, the lead they had there, because LNG are now 10 kills to 4, but only still up about 500 gold. But this is where the cracks do start to show.
And what I'm loving from LNG is that they've identified that Mad sometimes go for fights you don't need to go for. There is no objective at that point on the top side of the map that you need to go for, right? Mad, in that situation, like, we want to fight because we can fight, because we are able to try and utilize the power that this team comp has. But LNG, they're doing it in full face of them, right? So they're at the ready for it. The fact that Ale then also finds this solo kill onto Humanoid is just, yeah, having your cake and eating it too.
Yep, that's the X Effect replay, and Humanoid just no real options here as he gets tactically swept.
Yeah, there's just no reason to ever frost and look for that there. Unfortunately, just a big misstep. And the flash is committed, and that is one thing you do trade back here, but absolutely well worth it there for Ale. Really finishes off that bottom turret, and now I'm starting to get really worried about Mad's ability to fight over objectives.
Yeah, I think it's more how they move around the map and go for these skirmishes. If they are in a 5v5 river situation where they actually do have vision of LNG, gold still even. But this next fight is going to be pivotal. It's going to be, one might say, make or break, if you haven't heard that enough yet. Because if you do fall behind here and you give LNG soul points, then there are so many opportunities for this team to pick up an incredibly strong soul, especially with the amount of, you know, pocket they can throw with Light and Icon trying to go for the spheres and the shots from Jhin. So giving that over is going to put you in a very rough position, but Mad, in terms of items, still very even. Just about, can they find a good angle for the upcoming team fight?
Armut already used the Gnar bar, just got out of it. He's back in main Gnar form here. 20 seconds to go before this Drake. This is such an important fight. This is basically do or die.
Yep, Icon going to teleport for a potential flank. Remember, this is Ocean Rift. There are loads and loads of hidey holes for anyone to come on through, and that does suit a pick composition very, very well in LNG. So many options when it comes to that as well. Kaiser throws a hook into the darkness. He's going to get spotted out. Good Q going to land there from Tarzan. We're just jostling for position right now. The mid lane now in control by the Mad Lions. Now they can venture towards the river. Ale looking for a potential flanking opportunity. This control ward, frustrating for LNG, but they're still just going to start off this Drake.
Armut just wants to auto-attack anything he can right now to get that bar up. That's one tool that they don't have that they so desperately need to 5v5.
Yeah, and Icon's actually the one flanking here, as the Scat of the Week is not going to find any value at all. It is going to be Tarzan locking down the Drake as Iwandy going to go golden. He's very low, and the Moonlight Vigil is going to miss, unfortunately, but Carzzy still flashes forward for the kill, but he sacrifices himself for it. It's not what you want, as now Humanoid's going to follow suit as well. It's a double kill for Light as the curtains. Kaiser once again going to suffer their wrath as LNG now look to push towards a potential Baron, maybe? They were moving towards the area, but they decide just to take this turret first.
And LNG, if you get the Drake there and you lose a fight, don't lose it too badly without giving up the Baron, you're fine. If you take the, or if they get the Drake in the flip, but you win the fight, you're fine. But they get the Drake, they win the team fight, and they get Baron.
Yeah, and this is the, I mean, I hate to keep harping on it, but it happens in Gnar compositions all the time. Look at the damage there for Armut. 300 in that fight does nothing because all he can do is auto Icon. Icon completely zones him out. That was basically a 5v4 fight, and I mean, there's just nothing you can do when you don't have that incredibly important resource when you're going into the most important fight of the game. Look at where Armut stands in this team fight. He's just not involved.
And look, everything's backwards. It's Icon pretending to be the Camille, and then you've got Tarzan topping the damage. It doesn't make sense.
Look at Tarzan here, because again, like, he secures the smite, that's one, and then he sets up this double kick just after also following up with an insane amount of damage on Carzzy. And it's this type of like clean gameplay that we always loved Tarzan for in the LCK, right? And then you also have Icon doing a great job zoning, Ale identifying the window. Iwandy, he died at the end, but who cares? He soaked so much damage regardless, opened up that fight for his team, and now the Red Bull Baron power play for LNG surely going to be devastating because, again, they're also at soul point.
Yeah, and they only had one turret taken before this. It's now rocketed up to 3, of course. Actually, it was 2. Both of the bottom lane towers were taken, but it was taken relatively late, right? This gold lead could absolutely explode.
I like this.
Mad. Yeah, they're wanting to try and create a little bit of a gank rush, and that's a beautiful hook. Trying to deny it there and keep himself alive for a little while, but 4 versus 1. Not going to like those odds. LNG realizing there's 4 people topside. They're just going to be able to take down this inner turret.
Yeah, and they can even potentially push for more. There's no teleports here on the top side of the map. There's no angle they can really teleport to punish this, so LNG are going to be able to get away with this, and for really no cost. There's no objective up right now that they can, of course, take while they have that pick. They still have to defend the Baron buff, so feels great to grab the kill and to have this extra pressure, but they're not even necessarily, I mean, they're definitely not going to get that top inhibitor turret, and what do you really gain here except a little bit of gold?
It's not the, I think at that lines at this point, while Baron buff is up, you can't really fight them. You do run into the issues that we talked about earlier. If you don't fight the flank or you force LNG to face check into you, engaging can be a little hard. Shove 2 waves into the turret, so that's feeling good, but now they're going far forward.
Yeah, looks for the Gnar, only finds it onto 1, but maybe that's going to be enough. Now, Tarzan does have the best item in the game in the stopwatch and going to go golden for a little while. Flashes come out as the curtain call and is coming through as well. Good play once again, but there's the ulti to come through from Ale. But is he too far forward is the question. The answer's no, says Icon, as he's on a rampage now. Throws down the gameplay button, and that is a triple kill out of nowhere. Tarzan's going to answer another one, as actually it's Light that picks that one up for, I believe, the full house. And that is going to be only Humanoid left standing.
The stopwatch usage of LNG has been insane this game. Every time I think that, man, they've done it, they found someone, stopwatch comes in time and time again, and they're going to push for the win here.
Yeah, that's going to be the first Nexus turret being taken down. Humanoid, no answer whatsoever. We'll call that the unofficial quadra kill, as Icon feeling fantastic in this game, and LNG going to pick themselves up another win.
LNG looking strong when it matters most here, and for the Mad Lions fans, it has been a roller coaster. It has been high highs and low lows, unfortunately, here in their first round robin of the group stage. And very quietly, I believe it was 5-0 and 9 was Light at the end of that game. They had such great engage. They had so much frontline. The Jhin pick worked so perfectly. We've seen teams like PSG pull off this Jhin pick when they do have really strong engage, great frontline there. And unfortunately, even though the early game was so good for Mad, and Armut played the top side of the map so brilliantly, they couldn't translate that into objective fights later on. partially, again, like I mentioned, because of that ability to manage those fights with Narbar, but also just because LNG did not hesitate even once. And that's what you love to see from an LPL team.
I thought that the play by the end by Arley as well, flash hook shotting into like 4 people, was like, no, my team will back me up. Even though they were like, at that point, the screen behind them, and you see immediately the curtain call, the stopwatch is always there.
Yeah, and there were purple spheres all over the floor as well. I mean, Icon was almost like on the side, but doing so much damage in that game. And it must feel fantastic for the mid laner of LNG, who's been having a rough time, to be perfectly honest, here this world so far. Hasn't really been the guy being able to find all of that action. But definitely looking very, very good here for LNG as they finish up 2-1. But for now, we're heading to a break. When we return, we'll have Law standing by with Iwandy for an interview.
Would you ride with me? Handshake, one of a kind, homie. I be trying to vibe on the wave. I'm a big mean vibe on the way, look.
Smell irresistible. The new Axe Effect.
to this. Make or break.
Vitality will take them.
A new era is waiting. Make it yours.
Welcome back to Iceland for Worlds Group Stage 2021. LNG come out victorious against the Mad Lions today, and I have Iwandy to talk about this victory. Thank you very much for joining me. Ni hao. I want to talk about the early game because Mad Lions were trying to play for top side with some early skirmishes, but you tried to adapt on the bot lane play. So talk me through the early decision making to break the bot lane from Mad Lions.
我们可以问一下，就是前期你们是怎么样调整？因为看起来 Mad Lions 是一直在筑上路嘛，那你们下路的话是怎么样去集中，然后把他们的下路线打穿的？
因为对面的打野就前面一直抓上嘛，然后我们就跟他这样沟通，就让他先下来，然后先抓他们的下路，看下路有没有机会。
Because Mad Lions jungler kept going into the top side, we told our own jungler Tarzan to come bot and see if there were any opportunities available.
Yeah, great communication here. And I also heard from Candice that you're the main shot caller for the team for this LNG lineup. Iwandy, so can you tell me a bit more about your role within the lineup and maybe the pressure that you can have on your shoulders sometime with this lineup?
我们从于少那边听到说你是队伍上面的主控，你可以跟我们讲一下你在队伍上面的一个定位吗？然后可能这个位置会不会带给你很多的压力？
就一般的话，就主要还是听队友的沟通吧，然后从他们的沟通里面，然后我得到反馈之后，然后再做出判断。然后其实压力的话就还好吧，就只要还是大家正常沟通，就没有什么特别大的压力。
I think you could call me the main caller. I listen into everyone's comms, and then I make a decision based on their reactions. As for the pressure, I don't think there's that much pressure. We just try to do everything normally.
Which is what makes great player after all. I have a last question for you, Iwandy. You are one of the rookies at Worlds this year. What does it mean to you to finally play on this stage, and what do you hope for achievements here on this run?
那你这也是第一次来到世界赛嘛？那想请问一下你自己有没有什么样的一个目标，想要达成什么样的成就？
我觉得这次来世界赛对我来说是一个新的开始嘛，然后对我的目标来说的话，就是打好世界赛的每一场比赛吧。
This is definitely a new start for me, and my own goal is to play well in every single Worlds game.
Is there any player you would like to face in particular if you make it out of groups?
有哪一位选手你特别想要遇上吗？如果你可以有幸晋级出现这个小组的话。
我觉得是 T1 的下路吧，因为我觉得他们的辅助。 是玩的挺厉害的，所以说想跟他们交手。
I think it would be T1 in their bot lane because their support is very, very powerful. So I would like to face them.
Wow, and you will see if you get there as you unlocked a very good position in your group. For now, Iwandy, that's a lot for this interview. Shay for the interview. Thank you so much for the translation. And we're going to take a short break and we'll be back in a couple of minutes for FPX versus Rogue. Stay tuned.